Hi, I'm going to be going over the way that I put a 6.0 Ford air filter back in. I'm not saying it's the right way. I haven't seen any great videos on how to do this, so I figured I'd give it a shot after I've fought with this air filter to try and find a good way to put it on. And here's the bottom line. There's no good way. This is just the way that I do it. So I have the air filter assembly out on the table behind me. I'm going to show you how I put it together on a bench, which is going to be way easier than doing it in the truck. And we'll go over to the truck and do it. But the easiest way I've found to put this back in is go right in this order from the front of the truck to the back of the truck. So this piece will slip in up against the front cross member and push it as far forward as possible so you can drop the air filter in. The air filter has to drop in on these two tabs on the bottom and this block on the side. So you want to get the air filter situated all the way at the bottom in its final spot first. So this piece slid in and you pushed it as far forward, then you're going to have to hinge this front piece into the filter. After that's done, you're going to put the back cover on the air filter. The airflow sensor's been removed. I highly recommend pulling this thing out of here before you pull this piece off because it's going to drag on your way up. And if the plastic's old and brittle, well, you'll be buying a new airflow sensor. So third piece to go in is this piece. This has to go in on top because it's also hinged. So this has to come in from the top. These two tabs have to drop in, and then you'll be able to line this piece up. So far, all that stuff was easy, and that's a breeze to drop it in. And then the last part, and this is the piece that you're going to fight, is putting this intake tube on. So I start by putting this on the air filter housing. So I'll get this lined up on the air filter housing, and this is the only fight, is to get this on the intake side of the turbo. And you're going to have to get some flex in here, and you got to want it to go on. It's not just going to jump on there itself. You're going to have to fight it a little bit. And if you've ever put an intake boot on a motorcycle as you're sliding a subframe on a motorcycle, that's where I got all my practice, and that's the way I approach it this way. Is it's very similar to sliding an intake boot on a dirt bike if you put the subframe back on. So there's your bench explanation, and let's see how easy it is when we go over to the truck and try it. So first piece, and we're gonna slide this as far forward as we can get it because we want room to get the air filter to sit down on these two pins and sit in its final place. So you're putting the air filter in next. It's got this square tab which is going to go towards the outside of the truck. There's also an arrow on the filter that points in towards the motor. So we get that situated all the way down there. Then we can take this front cover that we pushed further forward, and you're going to get those tabs fitted in at the bottom. Pay attention real close that your edge is even all the way around here. The inside edge has a tendency to get hung up on the filter. Next step, back cover with the mass airflow sensor. So we're going to slide that right down the back side of the filter, and you can see that if you didn't pull your airflow sensor off, that's going to be sitting right here, it's going to be dragging on the degas bottle. So on removal, I recommend pulling this out on removal, and it makes install that much easier. So we get the back cover slid down, and take a look, make sure you don't have any wires that are getting pinched in the bottom. Drop the two tabs in. You'll see that housing lines up. It's going to slide right in here. And that was the easy part. Now the one last thing we got to do is fight with this tube that's going to go from this back cover of the air filter over to the intake side of the turbo. So I've got the intake tube, and you're going to notice this vent tube that's going to go into the valve cover. What I'm going to do is slide this vent tube underneath the degas bottle, higher than it's going to go, attach it to this back cover of the air filter, rotate it down so that it's in position to go into the valve cover, and then fight with this end onto the turbo. I'm lifting up on the back of the air filter housing to get it to line up, sliding the boot on, rotating it down into position, lining the vent tube up with the valve cover. Now I'm going to get my clamp on the boot before I drop that in. Okay, so last thing, after I tighten these clamps, I'm just gonna double check, feel around the boot, make sure that it's all the way on the turbo. If you're dropping this in from the top and the bottom lip of this tube hits the bottom of the turbo, it's gonna fold up inside and you're just gonna have unfiltered air going into your turbo housing, and that's not very good. Double check, make sure that we're all the way around the back side of this air filter cover. Plug my mass air in. Tighten my clamps, and that's it. Air filter installed. Well, I'm not a diesel mechanic, but that's how I put these air filters in, and I still don't like it. And I think the key is understand that it's a pain in the neck, and somebody's going to win, you or the truck. So get ready to win, and if you got a better way to do this, which I'm sure somebody out there's got to have a better way to do this, feel free to add it to the comments and throw your best insults at me. Those are always entertaining too. Good luck.